Hey, what's up, guys? I think there's a lot of guys in their 30s, early 30s, mid 30s who are starting to realize that where you are in life isn't exactly where you thought you were going to be or thought you should be by this time. And I just want to say that this is a note to myself, but just let that shit go, man. Stop trying to catch up. Stop trying to catch up to some imaginary idea of where you think you're supposed to be. Because here's the thing, it is imaginary. It is a made up timeline that you came up with. And when I say you, just assume that I mean myself. I'm talking to myself here. You came up with this timeline when you were 15, 18, 20, 21, 23 years old. This ideal of what you're supposed to be, what kind of woman you're supposed to have, what kind of money you're supposed to have, what kind of car you're supposed to have, what kind of house you're supposed to have. And you're a fancy schmancy artist. You weren't materialistic. You weren't like everybody else saying you wanted a Ferrari and a mansion. And no, you had really good, sensible goals, didn't you? No, but you still tinged your goals and you still let the voices and the opinions and the standards of the rest of the world sneak in. And even if you like to think of yourself as not materialistic or not obsessed with success or hustle or like whatever, even if that, like, you still have that sneaky, your mom's voice is still in the back of your head, like, what are you doing? Your ex-girlfriend's voice is still in the back of your head, like, what are you doing? Your parents, your friends, all these different people in your life who, like, we're a human being, like, their opinions and their feedback, it still does come into our consciousness. And you still try to beat them or prove them wrong or prove yourself right by trying to do things your way and achieve, even though you're trying to do it your way, you're trying to achieve things and goals that those other people, the rest of society, would hypothetically respect. I'm about to say what's up with the homie. It is a beautiful day outside. So, what was I saying? Sorry, I had to shake somebody's hand real quick. Um, yeah, it's a fake timeline. You had this idea when you were 20 years old of all the cool shit you were going to do and have. And life caught up and life happens. And now you're 35, 36, 37. And shit ain't, shit ain't sweet like that. Shit ain't happening like you thought it was going to happen. And now you're going through this what becomes a vicious cycle, I think, because one, you're looking back on this idea like it was supposed to be where you were supposed to go. You're comparing it to where you are, and you're feeling like you failed. And then you try to rationalize. Maybe some days you try to rationalize it, and maybe some days you blame the world or blame others. And maybe some other days you feel more responsible and you blame yourself and you just feel guilty. But either way, it doesn't feel great. You feel like a failure, like you didn't, and you're wondering like where the time went, what happened, what did I do wrong? Like, and if only I had gone that way instead of that way all those years ago, where would I be now? But the thing is, let's say there's some truth to that. There probably is. You probably did fuck up. I mean, if you had practiced every single day from that day that you said you were going to fucking practice, and you actually did, then yeah, you would be really way better right now. But let's accept that, first of all, that there's truth to it. Okay, now what? Let's say you actually fucked up. Let's say you actually fucked up. Now what? What does that mean? We're here now. You plan on you planning you plan to continue living. You're not gonna die. You're not going anywhere. So now what? Well, maybe the knee-jerk reaction is you go in that really unpleasant survival mode and you start trying to catch up. You start trying to make up for lost time. You start trying to come up with ways of hacking the system or leveraging the experience that you do have in order to make up for what you don't have. And you try to catch up. You look at other people who are younger than you, who are the same age as you, who are in who have different shit going on. You go on Instagram and you see the highlight reel of everybody else's life, and you make these comparisons, and you start thinking, well, I gotta get to a place where, like, I gotta prove to myself that I didn't fail. But it's not a sustainable. That doesn't work. First of all, let's cut to the chase. It doesn't get shit done. Like, let's say you actually want shit. Like, shit's not gonna happen anyway, because that doesn't work. Because you burn out. You try to. You try to fight against the current, and you try to force yourself to pursue things that aren't really for you anymore. You try to, like, cohere to some narrative that a 20-year-old or 10-year-old version of yourself came up with. That a version of yourself that did not know what was going to happen, did not know what 2026 or any other year before that was going to be like, doesn't know the landscape of what's actually going on, doesn't know, can't expect all the different things that are going to happen in life. So what kind of sense does it make to judge yourself by standards that are made by a child who doesn't know anything? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're stressed out because you're following the plan of some dipshit teenager. Some dipshit teenager's idea of what's cool and what's good. And you're still trying to fit into that plan. And maybe that's why it's not working out. Maybe you should just calm that shit down. So all I'm saying is, I found a lot more peace and a lot more actual productivity, actually, in letting go and realizing that this story. Let me start that one over, because I'm not saying that you gotta give up. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. It's not giving up. I'm saying let go of a big fat fake distraction that is not even really your thing, that is pulling you off of the actual path you're supposed to be on. Because as long as you're spiraling in that feedback loop of, I ain't there yet, what am I supposed to do, let me try, burn out, fuck, I suck, get depressed, fall back into my old habits and vices, and then, oh no, woe is me. Instead of doing that, give up the idea that there was ever any timeline or narrative that you were ever supposed to do at all. That's an idea made up by some younger version of you, some dipshit kid who had thoughts that were incorrect and uninformed, and that it's silly and actually unsustainable to try to keep doing that and following that path. Because when you do that, you're able to clear up your mind, clear up your memory, clear up your purpose. Like, you can see more clearly what you're supposed to be doing, and you can feel more, like, readily what you're meant what it's meant for. Like it's hard to explain, but you know when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, when you're in the path that you're meant to be on, even if it's ultimately not like what you're gonna be doing later, like you can feel it. You know, there's a feeling of being on the path. You know what I mean? Like there's a feeling to there's that serendipitous feeling that you get when you're on the path and you're on the spark and you're tapped in. When you're tapped in, you can smell it. You got to use your nose. You got to follow your nose. You can't follow your nose when you're distracted by the fake story. So just like when you're trying to catch up, just you gotta start. You can't start being yourself if you're. I'm trying to come up with like a clever way of saying this. You can't like start being yourself if you're still trying to be someone else. And I think it's okay to grieve it. Like, it's okay to accept that you haven't reached the point that you were supposed to reach. And it's okay to grieve your old self and to let it go. And it's okay to feel bad about it. And in fact, you need to feel bad about it. Like, you need to let those feelings go. When you don't let your shit go all the way through you, it just spins around inside your chest and your neck until it festers and turns into fucking stomach ulcers and other bad behaviors and habits. Like, you can't, like, the way to not feel bad is to not try to not feel bad. You gotta let yourself feel all the way until you're done. Trying to not feel bad is just like stalling the process. You're just stalling your evolutionary process. You gotta allow everything to just go through its cycles so that you can process everything. Like, trust yourself. I keep telling myself and remembering, this is a side thing. This is its own video really, but like, you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't have to try to do anything. You know what I mean? You're created in a certain way. Like, human beings are creative by nature. We don't not create. You're not going to not do it. Like, what I'm saying is, you're probably making, if you're 30s, mid 30s, and you're like neurodivergent, I bet there's a good chance you're making way more to-do lists and shit that you need to be. You're thinking too much, you're analyzing too much, and you're taking too long to try to figure out the best way to move, the best move. And you're taking too much effort because you're too afraid of not honoring yourself. You're too afraid of not doing the thing you're supposed to do, when really what you should be worrying about is the basic boring shit, like getting sleep, eating food, having like positive relationships, consuming not crap and only consuming good things, going outside, getting sunlight. Like, the basic shit that was like, it seems so trivial. That's all the shit that I'm into right now. Like, how do I sleep better? How do I just feel more happy? Because I'm realizing that you don't have to, if you're an artist, if you're a photographer, let's say, because I'm not a photographer, so it's something that I don't do really. I mean, I've been taking pictures, but anyway, if you're a photographer, you don't have to try to do photography. You can't see me this way. You don't have to try to do photography. You have to remember to... Let me put it this way. Let me start over. Car here. If you're an artist, your job is not to do art. That's not your job. That's your function. That's your purpose. That's what you do. But your job for you to think about is not to do art. Because if you're an artist, art just happens, whether you want it to or not. If you're a real artist, like, you know what I'm talking about. If you're art, like, you don't choose to do art. Like, you have to do art. You love it, but also you have to do. If you don't, then you fucking atrophy. You fucking like shrivel up and you fucking explode. Like, you shrivel up and expand and explode at the same time. You barf and shit, and you you yell at people. You're not balanced. You have to do art. And that's a beautiful thing, because then you can remember that you don't have to try to do art. That's what you naturally do. So what I'm saying is, it's a relief to know for me that, like, my job is not to do art. My job is to be in a state, to remain in a state where art is able to come from, to be in a state which allows the creation of art, which to be a channel which allows energy to flow through. That's the actual job, to be a good, healthy channel, and to do what's necessary to remain a good, healthy channel. And that's been my shit lately. Not trying to catch up or try to reach a goal or reach a metric or reach a quota, but it's more about being a state that energy is able to flow through, because sometimes you're in a state that things don't flow through it. Like, when you're in a certain state, it doesn't matter how hard you try or how much effort you put in or how much you want it, it doesn't happen. It's like mechanics. It's down to mechanics. I was all into the spiritual shit and all into this shit, but I'm back down to like mechanics lately, bro. I'm back to engineering, dude. Like, there is a mechanical, physical reality to this shit, and that's a two-edged sword. That's a double-edged sword, because it's like there ain't no mind over matter. That's bullshit. Ain't no mind over matter. It's matter over mind. In a way of looking at it. Like, there's a mechanic to, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to not feel good. Like, it doesn't matter how much you want to go do a good job. When you're tired, you can't figure shit out. You can't. Your judgment doesn't work. Your memory doesn't work, because there's a neurochemical reality to this. Willpower only goes so far. Willpower only goes so far. If it's late at night and you're tired as shit and you're still trying to push it, and you're wondering why you're getting frustrated, it's not working. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you're fucking tired and you need to fucking stop and take a fucking break. Rest is part of the work. Anyways, I'm out of battery. I'm gonna try different formats. I'm just doing whatever I can to get like a video out every week. So like and subscribe. Peace out.